Oscar Guy here. I am back with another First Impressions video, the first one of 2023. Technically, I think I uploaded the Avatar video on New Year's Day, but that was on New Year's Eve, so I guess that doesn't count. But we are now midway through the award season, and I just knocked another one off the list tonight. I went to see Babylon. And obligatory ticket stub shot. There you go. Went to the Ritz 5 in Philadelphia. There it is. Written and directed by Damien Chazelle. And, I went into this one kind of like reluctant, kind of wary about it because, number one, I've heard that it has had a mixed reception. I hear some people love it, some people really don't like it. Um, and then it's a 3 hour movie, so it's like you gotta really commit to something like that. And if you don't like it, then maybe it's a waste of your time. So I was like, I just got to do it. I just got to get in there. And I've said before, I wasn't a huge Damien Chazelle fan. I mean, I really enjoyed La La Land. I have a very specific bias with Whiplash, and I don't really want to get into that right now. But I think that is a very well directed movie, and well acted, of course. But Damien Chazelle was like a little divisive for me. I think I was not totally on his side as far as his directorial choices and everything like that. So I was like, maybe Babylon will change my mind, or maybe it will further cement him as, he's just an overrated young film director who thinks he's hot shit. But after watching this movie, I gotta say, I'm in, dude. I get it. I get it. Damien Chazelle, you've done it, man. I think this movie is probably my favorite film of his so far. I really, really enjoyed it. I was kind of gearing up for something crazy, insane, just 3 hours of complete debauchery and just intensity and like just over the top stuff, which it is. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Not quite as nuts as I was gearing up for. I thought it was just going to be like that whole party, that energy throughout the entire movie. And maybe it is for some people, but I think there were some moments in the film that kind of leveled it out a little bit. So there was a good balancing act. And then the pacing was, for the most part, it was pretty good. I really liked it. Great performances. I mean, just the cinematography and the editing are like top notch, top notch. It's extremely well shot. Like the craft is there, the passion is there. Um, he gets his actors, even his extras, to do some crazy shit in this movie. Where do I even begin? It's like Margot Robbie is incredible in this movie. Probably one of her best, if not her best performance to date. She's just an amazing actress. She's great. I hope she gets nominated. Don't know if she's gonna win. Don't think she's gonna win, but she's phenomenal in this movie. Also, Diego Calva, who's the lead in this movie, fantastic. And I kind of looked him up, and I think this is his first ever film role. I don't know where Damien Chazelle even found this guy, or what, but like this guy is legit. I mean, he's one of the best parts of this movie is his performance as this guy Manny, who just is passionate about film and just wants to work in the industry, whatever it is. He wants to just be on a set and just do anything, and then he ends up kind of ascending this ladder in movie production, basically. Margot Robbie's character, who is a silent film actress, they kind of form this bond. He kind of falls in love with her, but she is just she's a very talented performer, and she knows she's hot shit, but she is just off the wall, just drugs, alcohol, like party time. She's just unhinged, has like gambling problems, so she like owes money and stuff like that. So she's a spitfire, and it gets into her a lot of trouble, pretty much. And Diego Calva's character tries to kind of level her out throughout the film. And I don't want to get too far into the movie. I don't want to spoil anything, but that's pretty much the overall premise. Margot Robbie's character, once silent films kind of fade away and then the talkies are introduced, which are sound films, she can't really, she has trouble remembering lines. She's not good with just actual like acting, like not really performing sound performing, but acting itself. Her voice and her accent is kind of like My Fair Lady esque, like not really up to snuff to what the industry expects her to do. And then the same thing with Brad Pitt's character, who was a actor like on who was on the top in the silent film era, and then the talkies come around, and he just eats shit. He's not good at acting, and his career just declines, and you kind of see that parallel between his character and Margot Robbie's character as well. So there's that subplot line. There's another subplot line that was really interesting with the jazz musician, the trumpet player, who kind of starts playing at this party in the beginning of the film, and then he gets a job in like the studio on sets and everything. So he kind of ascends that ladder, but then he faces backlash with racism and stuff like that. But regardless, he goes through some trials and tribulations as well. So that was kind of like a very interesting subplot line that's kind of weaved in to this film. I mean, there's a lot going on in this film. It's a 3 hour long film. There's so much packed into this thing narratively, and it is a bit of a mess. But I think I think it worked for me. It could have been a little tighter, the script. It could have been, the pacing could have been a little better, but what was presented was great and extremely entertaining. And I will say that this movie is hilarious too. There's some very, very funny sequences in this movie. And conversely, this movie does go into some pretty dark places as well. Some pretty like shocking and kind of like tragic segments in this movie as well. But it really worked, man. It really, really worked for me. And I am genuinely surprised, and I'm glad that I'm finally on the Chazelle side. I was kind of like teetering on this, a tightrope walk. I'm like, okay, am I really a fan of his? Like, I appreciate his directing, but I'm just not like there yet. I'm there now. Babylon has convinced me. He's a very, very, very talented filmmaker. He's very brash and very bold in his stylistic choices and everything, which aren't everybody's thing. Especially with the ending. The ending is like, I don't really want to talk too much about it, but it gets into very an experimental territory that is genuinely pretty jarring, and some people will scoff at it and think it's like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, really, dude? And then other people are going to be like, that's amazing. This is a masterwork. No one is really doing this in these Hollywood films anymore. So, and I'm kind of like in the middle. I was like, that's pretty cool. I like that. As jarring and kind of weird as it was, I was like, okay, I don't know if that was completely necessary, but all right, I see what you're doing. So it was cool. It was great, actually. I liked it way more than I thought I was going to, and it's honestly, it's probably one of my favorite movies of the year. I'm not really understanding how people can hate this movie. It feels like there's always like one quote unquote critically acclaimed or auteur movie that comes out in a given year that the general public just latches onto and just hates it for like whatever reason or even no reason. I feel like the film last year that had that curse was Licorice Pizza. Like, people just hated on that movie for really no reason, because it's like, what is it even about? It's just like nothing happens. I'm like, do you know what Paul Thomas Anderson does? Like, do you even get what he's trying to do here? Anyway, I digress. But Babylon, like, people seem to be just like hating on it for no reason because it's too long, and like, who gives a crap? And this young director is just doing this weird shit that nobody cares about. Just go see Avatar. I mean, whatever. It's unfortunate. Because I think this is a very fine film. It deserves better recognition, better reception than it's getting. And it's not perfect. It's not a perfect movie, but it's great. It's very, very entertaining, and I really highly recommend it. I also want to say before I wrap up here, there were some supporting performances that I really liked. There's a female director character in this movie, kind of in the first half of the film, that I really loved. I don't even know who that actor was, but she was awesome. There was this guy. There were two actors from Wolf of Wall Street. I forget either of their names. They were fantastic. One of them is like a bodyguard in the later part of the film, and then another one is like an assistant director or a grip in the first half of the film. And he's the guy who has the glasses and the wig in the Wolf of Wall Street. You know what I'm talking about. It was that guy. He had some scenes that had me laughing out loud. It was so funny. Also Max Mangella. Don't know if I'm saying his name right. I know him from The Social Network. He was also in this movie, and he was great. Tobey Maguire has has a really weird set of scenes near the end of this movie. Very interesting sequence with him. He plays this really creepy, kind of unsettling, like mob boss type of figure. Really interesting. Spike Jonze plays like this director guy in the beginning of the movie who has this weird accent. Didn't recognize him at first. I'm like, oh, that's Spike Jonze. Holy shit. So, and speaking of Wolf of Wall Street, this movie is very reminiscent of that movie. I really did like Wolf of Wall Street. I love that movie. But Babylon is like a combination of Wolf of Wall Street, Boogie Nights, very similar to Boogie Nights, and Singing in the Rain. Like the combination of those three films, because Singing in the Rain is also about, you know, the transition from silent films to the talkies, and it's even referenced in the film as well a few times. And speaking of Boogie Nights, the filmmaking in this movie really reminded me of an early PTA film like Boogie Nights. The way everything is shot and edited, and kind of how the camera is playful, hard zoom ins to like a close up like that. That was very prominent. There were some really cool tracking shots, like one take shots in this movie that were awesome. Yeah, great. It's great. It's really great. I was very genuinely surprised how much I liked this movie, and I'd like to even go see it again. So that's Babylon. Dude, I think for right now, I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5. I mean, it's great. It's great. I'm just giving out 4.5s this year. There's a lot of great movies this year. It's crazy. What a great year for film, man. 2022 is really killing it. Wow. Yeah. So that's Babylon. I will say that the Golden Globe ceremony is next Tuesday. I will be live streaming that. At least I'm going to try to live stream it. I haven't done it yet. I haven't tried doing it. So I'm just going to figure it out. So the Golden Globes are coming soon. And then the day after that is SAG Award nominations. And then the next Sunday is the Critics' Choice ceremony. So there's a lot going on this month. So the award season is in full swing, man. So thanks again, guys, for watching. See you next time. And the Oscar guy is out.